Hi guys, this is the first of a couple of recordings I'm going to do on VLOOKUP, which is an important function in Excel for our assessment tasks. So you'll need to do a VLOOKUP. The first video is actually not going to show VLOOKUP itself. It's going to show how we prepare a table. I'll show you a demo of the table. So we're going to prepare this table, and it's going to have a couple of sheets. And basically the idea is that there's going to be a whole bunch of data here, and we're going to look up some information based on this number here. We're going to grab the name, etc., and use VLOOKUP to do that in our formula. So in actual fact, you can skip the first lesson if you want. I'm going to be showing you how to set up this spreadsheet, and it's more a question of just practicing your spreadsheet skills, presentation skills to make things look good, and just how to set this layout up. If you don't want to do that, I will leave a link to a copy of this file so you can shortcut to the second video and just start that up. So the rest of this video will be simply how to set up this spreadsheet, this workbook, so that it looks like this. And we'll start with a new workbook. So off we go. So I'm doing Control N on the keyboard, and Control N just makes a new workbook. So I'll tab back to the old one, and let's concentrate on the data to begin with. So the way I started was I put student number. Okay, so I put some headings here. I put student number. Actually, you know what? I didn't do that. The first thing I did was I generated some random number and random names. So let's generate some random names. Go to a browser and go to randomwordgenerator.com, and in here select name and generate random names. I just chose female because we're at a girls' school. How many? You can type up to 50. I type 50, and you just click generate and it generates them. So I then copy and paste them. Control C. I alt tab over to my empty spreadsheet and I go Control V. Okay, so at the moment they're all sort of not fitting properly, so I resize the column. Now what I actually want is, I'll just tab back to my original. So you can see I've actually got the names split, first name and last name, because sometimes you don't want to print the first and last name together. So I'm going to split them. Now, I don't know if you can remember that, but the way you do it is select the whole column. You go to data and you go text columns. It's going to go through this dialog. Most important thing is that you've got space ticked. You go next, finish, and lo and behold, you've got the name split. Next thing is probably to get rid of this formatting. So for this, I would go home. I'd probably click on one of these. I'd click the format painter. So I want to duplicate the formatting on this one to this whole column, and I click on there and I get my names like that. Looks like I didn't copy all the names, but that's fine. 17 names will be fine for this demo. All right, so now I've got my names split. The next thing I had was a student number. Now this is generating a random number. So what I did was I went right click insert. So right click insert and then equals rand between tab, and the bottom number might be something like 389123, something like that, and the top number might be 389134, close brackets, press enter. All right, and so you get a random number. Go here and you could double click here, or you can also, I think somewhere, let me see, on one of these menus there's an option to fill down. Where is it? I can't find it. One of these ribbons has an option to fill down, but I can't find it. So I'm just going to double click on this little handle here, and it's filled it. So I can now, oops, actually you will have formula bar on. I've turned mine off. Okay, so now you can see my formula. It says rand between. Now the problem we have with this is every time we make a change to the spreadsheet, these numbers are going to change. So what we do to fix that is we insert a column. So I highlight the column, right click, insert, and I copy the column. So I select the whole column, Control C, click the A column, right click, and instead of clicking the first one here or Control V, I take the second option, which is copy values only. And so the difference is that, press escape to deselect everything. If I click on A1, you can see that there's just a number in that cell. But if I click on B1, there's a formula. So if we just have a number, it can't change. So that's what we want. So let's highlight this cell, right click, highlight this column, sorry, right click, delete. All right, so that's sorted out the student number, first name, second name, and finally we have a height. And I did pretty much the same thing here. I said equals rand between, and I went from 120 centimeters right up to 2 meters, in case some of you have tall friends. Did the same thing. I clicked on the fill button. I then right click, insert, copy, and right click, paste values. Delete this column, and all done. So now we want to put some headings up here. So I'm going to highlight this row. I'm going to right click, insert, student number, and I click tab. So once I type in student number, I don't use the mouse at all. So I haven't touched the mouse. I just click tab, and then I go first name. Once again, I click tab, or I could click right arrow as well. Last name, tab, height. And then I might press enter. Okay, not too bad. So if we have a look at the spreadsheet, you can see it's been nicely formatted. So let's nicely format it. We'll go to the home menu for that. We'll bump up the font size, bold it. We'll turn word wrap on, and we'll expand this a bit so it doesn't overflow. That's not looking too bad. Oops, maybe a bit too much. Very good. I think we might center everything. And we're looking a lot better. So that's looking pretty close. Now, one thing, when we scroll, we want to keep the headings there. So normally we would highlight that row, go to data, go to view, view, freeze panes, freeze top row. Now if I scroll, you can see the headings stay here. One other thing, if you like to tidy this up a bit, you can highlight column E, and if you press Shift Control right arrow, it will highlight all the columns after that column. And then what you can do is right click, hide, and it will hide all those columns. All those columns will be gone. And you can do the same for rows if you want. Highlight the last row, Shift Control down arrow, right click, hide, and just makes it look sort of tidy, I guess. So there you go. That's how you set up the first sheet. Now, in our sample, we called that data, so we might call this data as well. So I'm going to right click, rename, whoops, data, press enter. I'm going to add another sheet now, and I'm going to call this one input. So right click, rename, input. So let's have a look at the sample of this one. What have I got? Data, input. Okay, this is the sample. All right, so we want to do quite a lot of stuff here. So we need an input area and we need a late note. And in the input area, we're going to have 3 rows, I guess. So let's start right at the top. And what I noticed is you're better off to leave the first row and the first column as blank. So let's start in B1 and type in late note. And we might give that Might give that a couple of rows, maybe. Something like that. We'll go home and merge. Okay, so it might be something like that. Input area. And okay. So we've got student number, reason, and student name. Okay. Okay, too bad. So let's get our columns a little lined up. And first thing we notice is there's a big box around everything. So what you can do is highlight the whole thing, and you can put thick outside borders. You might want to make these a little bigger. I think we'll center everything. Actually, these are left justified, so we might left justify these. This is obviously a bigger font, so we'll bump that up to 18 and make it bold. And we've got a bit of a grey in there, so we might just grey that. And we're getting close now. They're bolded, so we will bold these. Great. Okay, that's looking good. So the idea is that these are headings, and actually the office staff will type in a number here like that. They'll press enter, and that should look up the student name. But for now, we don't have to bother about that. Okay, let's get on to the late note itself. So let's set up a late note. And we might make this quite big, I guess. Maybe something like that. And then we'll grab a whole bunch of real estate here, and we'll merge that all as well. So now we have a late note, an area for a late note. Once again, you'll find that this is surrounded by a thick border. So we'll put the thick border on. Let's get the same font. So I might highlight this one here, press the format painter or whatever it's called, and click it on here. And sometimes it gets a little confused, but all in all, it's a good way to get the same font, same size. And that's it, really. We're sort of done. The text itself will come up as part of the next stage, which is setting up our VLOOKUP. So that's the end of the video. See if you can produce something that looks like this, and we'll use that as the starting point for the next video. See you in the next video.